Hello, my name is Delisa Minor Harris, and I am the Assistant Director for Library Services at Fisk University's John Hope and Aurelia E. Franklin Library.
And I'm Melissa Winans. I am the project manager for the Mellon Rosenwald Grant Project.
And today we'll just be talking to you about our project, the work that we're currently doing, the work we're planning on doing, and future um, goals. So the Julius Rosenwald Fund archives came to Fisk University in 1948. Edwin Embry, who was the fund's president at the time, and Samuel Leonard Smith, who was the director of the fund's southern office here in Nashville, decided that the fund's archives should be placed at Fisk University in a repository established there with an archivist. Around that same time in 1947, Fisk established an archives charter, so an official archives that would specialize in institutional records as well as organizational records. And Dwight H. Wilson, the first archivist at Fisk University, had charge of the collections for the Julius Rosenwald Fund, as well as the recent acquiring of the American Missionary Association papers. The Julius Rosenwald Fund collection, the original processing was completed in 1970, and then a supplement of records and documents for the fund was completed and processed in 2013. So the more recent supplement of the collection includes more photographs related to the fund, um documents, including correspondence, meeting minutes, as well as financial records. We also have a few related collections that serve as kind of, I guess you would say, additions to the information provided in the fund papers. The Sam Leonard Smith collection, as he was the director of the Southern office here in Nashville, his papers focus on his work in the rural school program as well as the libraries program. And then Charles S. Johnson, who was the first African American president of Fisk University, as well as the first African American trustee for the Julius Rosenwald Fund. His collection, which is cited as Register 10, um, includes documents related to his work with the Julius Rosenwald Fund.
So, as the project manager, I started working on the grant at the beginning of September. And the first thing I did was conduct a review of the current Rosenwald Fund card file database that is linked through the Franklin Library website. And that was created in 2005 from the Saving America's Treasures grant, and consists of about 5,000 images with corresponding metadata of the schools created through the Rosenwald Fund in the South. You can see the homepage for the database on the right. You can see that it is fairly out of date. We have images not coming through, and not all of those search parameters actually work currently. It has degraded over time. When you search based on state, you can see on the left image, I've searched by Alabama, and it lists out the schools in alphabetical order. And some of them have images, some of them don't. On the right, you see a school page with the metadata for that school, as well as the corresponding images. The initial problem I had coming in was that the Fisk University library staff no longer has access to the admin side of this database. So we can't currently go into the database to pull the digitized records or the metadata from.
Yeah, and what's been a consistent issue is, as Alyssa stated, the access on the back end. So being able to update records, add photographs, or create new records in this database is not possible currently. And we have worked with the original company that helped produce this database to gain access, but it's taking a lot of time, and even working here with our IT department, we're not sure that it'll be possible moving forward for the future. So Alyssa and myself had to go with plan B, and she can talk more about that.
So Plan B primarily consisted of utilizing the DVD backups of both the database code and the images. You can see some of those DVDs in that image there. That first clear case has the DVD with the Rosenwald database code in it. And then there are about 40 other DVDs with both high-res and low-res copies of the images. And while these images were given unique identifiers, when they are originally digitized, there is no file that lists what metadata corresponds to the images. So I was going to have to go into the database to inspect the elements and find out which images were uploaded to which school pages to correlate the metadata to the image on the DVD. However, upon going back to the physical collection, I noticed that there was a lot of editing, cropping done to the original records when they were digitized back in 2005. You can see the stark difference between the original here and the high-res copy that was digitized initially. And on top of that, the original school cards, which you can see in the image, one of those here, was used to capture metadata for the school images, but these cards themselves were not digitized. So that's another couple thousand images that were not digitized for the original database, though the data from them was captured. After speaking with Delisa about this issue, we decided that from a research perspective, this is obviously not what we wanted. We want the researchers to go back and be able to see the originals and see them in their entirety. So we decided ultimately to start from scratch, essentially go back to a blank slate and redigitize the images that are currently in the fund card file database on the website, as well as these school cards, which on the downside obviously means many hours redigitizing these things that we didn't anticipate having to do. But on the plus side means there's no longer that pressure to get into the original database in order to pull the data from it. So we are currently working on rescanning the school pictures and the cards with unedited preservation copies of all of them, as well as collecting the metadata for the new copies and connecting the metadata to the appropriate images. We have also recently established a metadata schema using both Dublin Core Standards and unique fields based on the project subject matter. So we'll have fields for state, county, budget year, application number, and some others that are very specific to the Rosenwald Fund and the creation of these schools. And then also something that has been very helpful in the last couple of weeks is we are onboarding and training student workers to help with the scanning, which takes a lot of pressure off of me to do the scanning so I can focus on the metadata and the more technical aspects of the project. What's next for the project is determining priority levels of material from the other Rosenwald adjacent collections for digitization, including the supplemental collection and the collections like the Charles S. Smith collection that have Rosenwald related material within them, as well as identifying fragile materials within the collections for both digitization and conservation work if necessary. In a longer term sense, we are looking at identifying potential web publishing platforms for a future database. Our current planning grant that we have through the Mellon Foundation does not actually call for creation of the database within this year, but we want to have as many steps as we can laid out so that future implementation money can be put towards creating that database very quickly and efficiently. And in an even longer term sense, we are looking at engaging with other institutions that have Rosenwald collections within their archives and working towards the ultimate goal of creating a space for those collections, a portal to connect the libraries and increase the access to the Rosenwald materials. In conjunction with that, we are obviously searching for implementation funding for the portal and for our longer term goals that are related to this project.
Yes, and while our focus currently is on the rural school program, eventually we want to expand the focus to include the other aspects of the fund, including the fellowship program, and possibly the library program, the health program, all aspects of the fund that hold a very significant historical weight in the research field. And so, yeah, we're just trying to go forward. And if you'd like more information about our project, our work, and how you can partner with us, or any ideas on building a portal, your experience, please feel free to reach out to myself or Alyssa Winans.
Thank you.
Thank you.